Hello everyone and welcome to Simulexe Racing channel. We're back with new events. This time today we will have a Lotus 98T tribute event dedicated to the legendary F1 car and the 1986 British Grand Prix, which was held at Brands Hatch. So similarly our event will be held at Brands Hatch obviously as well. Let me tell you a little bit about the format of the event as Lotus heads out on the track on his warm-up lap. So we'll have two events. One will be time attack and another one, and it will be followed by a race immediately afterwards. So a time attack will also be a qualifying session for the race. Points will be awarded for the single event for both time attack and the race. The winner will get 30 points. Second place 25 points, third place 22 points, fourth place 20 points, then 18 points, 16 points, etc. all the way down to 1, although we don't have that many participants to use up all the entire point scale. Let me tell you a little bit about the track itself. As we see here, the layout of the track, the turn 1 is paddock band after the main straight, and we see Lotus now negotiated Druid's band, and he had it to Graham Hill, accelerating towards Surtees, which is the most difficult corner here, very difficult to get the apex straight. He exits that corner and all the way down the longest straight here, which goes downhill and then uphill towards Horton Bend. Let's see how he manages to get along with that one. Okay, now he goes down to Westfield Bend, then down Dingledale, up Dingledale into Dingledale corner, and then there is a sharp left-hander, Sterling Bend, and then accelerates all the way towards the last corner. Clark curve, negotiates the corner early on the throttle here on the exit, and all the way down the main straight. So this is our lap of Brands Hatch. The track itself is a historic track because a lot of British GPs, British Grand Prix, were held here from 60s all the way to the 80s. The track was first constructed as a race track in 1950, and there was a first demonstration race 1950 on this track. And actually a young man at that time called Sterling Moss also participated in that opening race. We already have first times coming in. Rezo Bobokhidze so far is leading the field with 1:09.132, the best time so far set by Rezo Bobokhidze, but the lap times during the free practice were much faster. Some people got into 1:07s even. Tatuashvili comes next, 0.279 behind, pretty close, and then there is a bigger gap. Tatuashvili 1.9 seconds behind, Biasam is at 3.3 seconds behind, then Maharashvili and Popaleshvili, but everybody is going to improve because the surface of the track will be improving over time. So we will see some fast times coming in as the race progresses. We are now following Rezo Bobokhidze on board. You can see a manual gear shifter on this car. Actually, a very interesting and interesting car also, because Ayrton Senna raced it in 1986 when he was racing with the Lotus team. Oh, and there's a big shunt over there. There's a big spin by Rezo Bobokhidze. He's probably gonna go back into pits. And everybody avoided the accident. No, he decides to stop. He's gonna go back to pits and try again. Drivers are allowed to go back to pits during time attack, teleport back to pits and then start again, although that is obviously not allowed for the race. And Ayrton Senna raced it in 1986. This is a turbocharged 1.5 liter V6 engine, twin turbo. It has two different modes, race mode and qualifying mode. For the qualifying mode, the entire gearbox and engine were changed, the entire rear part of the car. So in qualifying trim at 100% boost, the car generated over 1,200 horsepower, and our drivers are allowed to use all that horsepower for the qualifying, although for the race they are not allowed because they are limited by fuel. So the way our event is organized is that the drivers are allowed to have only over 54 liters of fuel, which lasts exactly for 20 laps, which is enough for 20 laps. So for this 20 lap the race, if they want to boost it up to defend or to overtake, then they have to manage that boost, put it down below 70% to make it to the finish. So it will also be interesting to see how they perform. Also, it is interesting to note that the points are appointed in a similar way for a race as well. So if you win a time attack or if you win a race, it doesn't matter. You are still getting the same number of points for both events, although for the race, if you make it to the finish line, you get extra 5 points. So winners will be, the winner of the event will be decided based on the accumulated points for both qualifying, the race, and the race finish. So Rezo Bobokhidze now goes to Sterling Bend, accelerates down the last straight. Let's see how he does. He's at 1.3 now. Accelerates all the way down the main straight. 1.9, 10. No, that lap is not good enough, but he did much better earlier during practice, so he's going to improve as the event progresses. So it's also interesting to note for this qualifying event that Ayrton Senna qualified in 1986, third on the grid here, and his lap time was 1.7524, so 1 minute 7 seconds and 524 thousandths of a second, and we already see the drivers making it into 1.7s. Sandro Tavarkiladze and German Buchaltsev both made it to the 1.7s. Then there is a bigger gap of 1.3 seconds to Rezo Bobokhidze, who has spun. You can see it, he's probably going to teleport back to pits. Georgi Datuashvili has been practicing actively before this race, and he has been getting into 1.9s, low 1.9s. Let's see if he can improve or replicate his time. As we see now, Diasamidze improving to just 1.2 seconds behind Sandro Tavarkiladze, so he got into 1.8s, 1.878, 1 minute 8 seconds and 878 thousandths of a second to be more precise. So he's a third position right now. So Sandro Tavarkiladze, now we are watching him on board. He's basically effectively just slightly over 1/10 of a second behind Ayrton Senna's qualifying lap, which puts Senna on third position on this car. So let's see if anybody is able to beat that today, as we see that Datuashvili improves to 1.8, which is a personal best for him for today. Outbraked himself here and got into gravel. Luckily managed to avoid a shunt, but he will have to go back to pits and try again. As we see now, Luka Turiashvili coming out of the pits to try a new lap. Nika Kovalishvili didn't have much practice time for this event, but he's pretty quick. He's gonna probably go into 1.9s today, which is pretty good on this car. So apart from Ayrton Senna, it's also interesting to note that Johnny Dumfries also drove Lotus 98T, although obviously not many people speak about him because of the legendary teammate that he had. So in this format, as you can see, the car has a six-speed gearbox for this event in this game, although actually this car had both 5 and 6-speed gearboxes when it was raced in 1986, and Ayrton Senna used the 5-speed gearbox, so the 6-speed was a development gearbox. So it was used by his teammates Johnny Dumfries. This is also car is also known for the fact that it was the last Lotus car to have a John Player special black and gold livery. You can see here on the collaboration with his car. So afterwards, the Lotus switched to Camel, to another tobacco manufacturer livery. Now we see Kovacevic improving to 1.10s. He's still in 8th position, but he's doing much better now compared to how he did in the practice. There was also a controversy associated with driver lineup for this car in 1986 because Lotus wanted to invite young talented driver at the time, Derek Warwick, to race for them alongside Ayrton Senna, but Ayrton Senna blocked that. He didn't want another number one driver racing alongside him because he was thinking that would compromise team's chances to fight for drivers' championship, because he thought team didn't have enough resources. Now Lotus we see approaches 1.10s. He's probably going to manage to get into 1.10s later during the session. As he improves, he's so far 9th place, less than a second behind 8th placed Kovacevic. So let's see if he improves his lap times down the stretch. So it's also very difficult for drivers to drive this car because the car has a manual gearbox. In the game, the drivers are obviously allowed to use pedal shifters, but they cannot downshift like in GT cars. They have to use throttle blipping and lift off the throttle during gear changes when they are downshifting. So it is very difficult and challenging and requires extra work for the drivers. As we see now, as they're going up Dingledell, now he's going to go into Dingledell corner, and then going to go into Stirling Bend. Yeah, downshifts here, throttle blipping, you can hear that, and acceleration all the way down the straight. The timer is on for him, so he's on a valid lap, but he's 2.1 seconds behind, doesn't improve his lap time actually. Now let's see the session leader here. We have on our screen Sandro Tavarthiladze, and he had a big wiggle there, but he managed to catch it to avoid a big shunt, but his lap time is probably spoiled. Probably he's not going to improve it. Goes wide here, also another mistake, and then goes on the grass. Couldn't make it back on time. He's probably gonna go and try another lap if his tires are fresh enough, because the fuel is burning off. So as the session progresses, not only the grip on the racetrack improves, but also the fuel is burned off when they drive lap after lap after lap, and until the tires are shot, drivers have a chance to improve their lap times. Georgi Datuashvili was lucky enough to get one of the JPS Lotus liveries. Actually, there are several teams formed in this event, and there will be also, it's going to be a big shunt. Yeah, it's a big shunt, unfortunately for him, as he goes back to the pits. So as I was mentioning, there are several teams formed during this race, but those teams are just random. There are two liveries of each car, two liveries for two cars with the same livery to form teams. So on a random basis, drivers are dropped into teams, and they don't even know which team they're going to be on when they join the server. So Georgi Datuashvili was one of the lucky ones to get the JPS Lotus livery, and I believe another one is Irakli Kovacevic, who is in the pits right now. He is currently running 8th. So far drivers are not improving. their lap times. Let's see if number 2 placed German Bugaltsev can improve. He's the closest one to Sandro Tavartkiladze, just 3/10 behind, and has a chance of getting close to him or even overtaking him. Let's see, let's follow him on board now to see how he does. Now he goes towards Dingle Dell right now, and then he's gonna go into Sterling Brand. Late braking here, use this apex, okay, accelerate aggressively. He didn't use all the width of the track here. Lost a little bit of time. Late braking here and early on the foot. Yes, you can use curbs here, accelerate all the way down the main straight, stick inside, flying. Oh, that's 1.7, 1 minute 7 seconds and 7/10 of a second. So he's still down. He basically replicated his lap time, but didn't manage to improve it. Almost replicated it. Turiashvili improves now to 1.8.8. 6th place, didn't improve, but got very, very close to the Assamidze. He's just hundredths of a second, to 100, less than 100 of a second behind, and the Assamidze answers with a lap of his own. 1 minute 8 seconds and 475. 475. Oh, and that's a typical spin here in this corner. Under braking, drivers have to use throttle gripping very aggressively here to avoid spinning out. So this was what happened with the Assamidze there. He braked very late and couldn't get all the downshifts straight, so it ended in a spin. So we are now following Rezi Bobokhidze. There is a smoke over there. I don't know who is that. But Bobokhidze looks like he's on an out lap. He's now warming up his tires as he goes down the main straight for a timed lap. Yes, indeed, the timed lap stops for him now. Oh no, he did 1:8.713, which is actually best time for him. He's still in 5th, and he's just 2/10 behind Georgi Datuashvili, who is now running 4th with 1 minute 8 seconds and 5/10. And he goes wide in Sterling as well. He goes wide, he overspeeded into that corner, couldn't get to the apex. So probably that lap is lost. He has to try another lap. We are now, we have just over 11 minutes left till the end of the session. And the grip is going to be coming towards the driver, so the track is going to be coming towards the drivers, and lap times will improve, so we will see some fast lap times as Georgi Datuashvili negotiates here this Grand Hill corner, and the third is very, very difficult corner. You can see uphill here. You think that you made it, but it catches you out because it bends outwards, and that's a big shunt. That was a mistake by Georgi. He didn't realize whether the driver was going to yield or not, and whether the driver is going to move away from him or not. So a bit undecisive over there. Surat Assamidze, he's still running 3rd, 1 second behind Sandro Tavartkiladze. I don't know at this time. I can see whether he's on a valid timed lap or not, because the automatic system for penalties is on. So if the drivers on a fast lap exceed track limits, they're going to be penalized, and the lap is not going to be counted by the system. So I can see here at the moment, yeah, he was on a valid lap, but it was a slow lap, and he's going to try another one now. He's into Druid's corner, the slowest bend here. He spun out here previous time. Into Graham Hill, and the service corner now, very difficult to get the apex. He goes wide and then goes inside. No, I think he slowed down. Bugaltsev is still chasing down Sandro Tavartkiladze. He's still 3/10 behind him and cannot get any closer. Sandro himself has managed 7 seconds, 1 minute 7 seconds and 4:24. So let's see how this unfolds with them. Vato Tsatsavashvili also joined this event. He's been practicing all day, but he went rather late, so his lap times are a bit down now compared to other events. So he was closer to the leaders earlier. A very experienced sim racer. Not much experience in this car, but more experience in GT cars, so it's a little bit new experience for him. So he also almost makes it into 1.9s, which would be pretty good. Drivers are, I want to remind you that drivers are allowed to use full boost on qualifying, because then they can go back to the pits and refuel, unlike the race. So there is a little bit of a shunt here on a slow lap, but he didn't win anything there. Micha Kopaleishvili, he's also a shunt. He was on a fast lap and lost it. You see a lot of mistakes by the drivers, very difficult car. Let's see how the race leader, the qualifying leader is doing. He's drifting into the Grand Band and then lost it because he didn't straighten the wheel after a slide quickly enough. His teammate here, Luka Turiashvili, did 1:8.8, which leaves him at 6. That's the best time for him so far, but he didn't improve his position. Misho Quantaliani now, who has joined us late, is now making his runs and improving his lap time. So far he's far behind, but he didn't have much practice to prepare for the race. So hopefully he's gonna improve his lap time. We see 3 cars here. It's really difficult to tell. It looks like all of them are on a fast lap and nobody wants to yield anything. So yeah, and they go off. German Bugaltsev just is coming out of the pits, preparing for his another attempt to catch Sandro Tavartkiladze, who has not been able to improve his lap time as well, because the drivers are approaching their limits. And it's also very interesting that Sandro Tavartkiladze has managed to beat Ayrton Senna's lap time of 1.7524. He did 1.7424. So this is exactly 1/10 of a second ahead of Ayrton Senna's lap time, although obviously Ayrton Senna did it in real race, unlike the simulated qualifying event, which I think is a bit more difficult. But anyway, congratulations to Sandro on his achievement. He's one of the quickest drivers we see now on him on board. He's one of the quickest sim racing drivers in Georgia, if not the quickest. Let me remind you that Simulexe Racing organized the first official Georgian sim racing championship, and Sandro Tavartkiladze participated in the championship himself. He finished second, just 2 points behind Data Kajaya, who won the championship. But it was a tight battle with 3 drivers competing for the ultimate prize till the last race. So Sandro managed to win 4 out of 12 races during the competition and finished second, just 2 points behind. But he's probably the fastest outright driver in terms of qualifying speed in Georgia today, as our events show. Let's see how he performs here, but German Bugaltsev is not letting him go, and this is going to be a big challenge during the race. We have just 5 minutes remaining till the end of this time attack event. So let me remind you that the winner gets 30 points, then 25 points, 22 points, 20 points, so it goes all the way down to 1 point. We are obviously not going to use all the points here because we don't have enough participants to award all the points. German is now giving another try, and meanwhile Zura Diasamidze improves his lap time a little bit, stays on third position, but he's still far away. He's still far away from top two. He has gotten away from the rest of the field, and then you can see that there is a very close gap between Zura Diasamidze on third place and Luka Tobiashvili in sixth place. They are separated by less than a second, so it will be very interesting, less than half a second actually, and it will be very interesting how this battle unfolds between them. And let me remind you that even a gap of 1 second is not enough for these drivers to be secure about their position, because one small mistake on this car and you are basically out, and if you don't crash badly, you lose a lot of time. So 20 laps in this car without mistakes is very, very difficult to do. The way the power comes on, it's very rapid. You not have power, no power, and then all the power, because this huge turbos boost up and accelerate you down. So it's very easy to lose rear end on this car. The car itself also, in terms of chassis balance, is very snappy. As you see this blind corner here, you have to brake not seeing the corner. Same here, Druids, this is the slowest bend. You have to negotiate it slowly. Tap the motor, he catches a big slide here, but the lap time is lost. I don't think he's going to improve on this lap. Luka Tobiashvili still hasn't improved. He's at 1 second, 1 minute 8 second, 886 thousandths. So he's still in 6th place. As we see, Misho Pantaliani, as I was suspecting, he's improving his lap times. Didn't have much practice, but he's doing really well adapting to the car. I'm really glad to see him improve, even though he has just joined the event today. He goes wide here. That's a typical slide in this corner. Now Georgi Datoashvili, and we're now following him on board on the slow Druids corner. He's going to accelerate now down towards Graham Hill, and the Graham Hill bend. A little slide catches it, but there is a slow car ahead. He can't avoid it. The lap time is lost. He now tries to overtake the car, but there was a big spin, and he got collected. 3 cars got collected in this accident. Fortunately for the drivers, unlike the race, this is not a big problem during time attack. They have few minutes left to try. They have 1.5 minutes now, so if somebody goes to the pits, makes an out lap, and then makes they can make a 1 qualifying lap. So 1 attempt left by each driver, and there is less than half a second between 3rd position and 6th position. So let's see if any of them improve. And then there is 3/10 between Uvaltsev and Talat Hilali. So the leader has spun, so he's probably not gonna be able, if he makes it quickly back to the finish line, he can make another timed lap. Just 40 seconds left now. German Uvaltsev is on a lap, as far as I can see. He's now in the Dingledale section of the track. Left, right. He got wide. He's not gonna make it. Even if he didn't crash here, he would not make it in time to the finish line to start another flying lap, the last flying lap. So Rezabov has completed his lap, but his lap was 1.1 seconds down, and that was his lap is 1.1 seconds down, so he didn't improve his position either. Makharashvili crosses the finish line. He's on full throttle, but he didn't improve as well. His lap time remains 1 minute 8 seconds 5:06. He's fourth, and he's very, very close to the Assamidze, who was less than a tenth ahead of him. So it's going to be a big battle between them, big battle for first and second. And once again, every mistake can be race ending here. Race ending in terms of you go from first to last and do not recover, because unlike the qualifying event, drivers will not be able to use full boost for the race. So the cars are fueled, so let me remind you that they are fueled with 54 liters of fuel, which allows for only 70% boost for 20 laps. So it will be a challenge for them to manage it, to use high boost on overtaking and defending, and then compensate with lower boost into tighter sections of the track where they don't need much power. Let's see what kind of strategy they use. And this is over now, our time attack event, and you can see the lap times. Sandro Tavartfiladze first, German Buhatsov second, Zurab Yasamidze third, Georgi Datuashvili fourth, Reza Bobokhidze fifth, Turiashvili sixth, Kopaleishvili seventh, Satsalashvili eighth, Makharashvili is ninth, and Guantaliani is 10th. We will take a little break now, and then we will start a race with a standing start, 20 laps, limited fuel. And we have the grid now. The drivers are preparing for their laps for the start of the race. And we see now the lights come on, 5, 6, and it's lights out. Let's see if anybody spins, does a 360 on the start. They all get away rather well. Let's see if they negotiate that corner together. Buhatsov tries to attack Tavartfiladze immediately, but Sandro gets away with it. Oh, they touch. That's a pretty clean start by everyone. I was not expecting that. They got away rather well. No 360s at the start, no collisions, but Sandro got away into the lead, and it will be now very difficult. So he did the main thing right. It will be now very difficult for German to overtake him on the track. Let's see how they use boost here. German has to now put pressure on Sandro to pressure him into a mistake. Otherwise it will be very difficult for him, because their lap times were very, very close. And we see now battles here. Makharashvili taking advantage of Pantaleon's mistake, but he goes wide here. And as he's basically in penultimate position. Lotus 98T probably made a mistake on the first lap, but it's not lost for him. He can still continue racing, because I believe there will be more mistakes. Now there is a big battle here going on from 4th position to 7th position. So 4 drivers are very close in terms of the distance on the track. No immediate attacks here, but any small slide can be decisive here. And now I see that Georgi Datuashvili is approaching, is closing down on Reza Bobokhidze. Let's see if he tries to use boost. No, it's actually, I think, Bobokhidze who's using boost, because he's getting away on the straight. Let's see how they do in the corners. Let's see how they do in the Dingle Bell section. By the way, there's a and it's very close now. Datuashvili managed to close down the gap. Let's see how they do here. Bobokhidze opens up the gap a little bit. He has a breathing space now, so he can cross the finish line, not fearing of the attack in the last corner. There's a little wiggle there from him. As Buhatsov does the fastest lap now, 1 minute 9 seconds and 8 tenths. And there is also a battle between Makharashvili and Guantaliani. He outbrakes himself. Makharashvili goes wide here. If he puts both four wheels on the tarmac, he's gonna spin, but he doesn't do that. He outbraked himself again and lost the leverage he had on Pantaliani, so he has to now try and close the gap again. So there is again less than a second gap between Bobokhidze and Datuashvili. This is going to be a fun battle. As for the lead, you can see that Sandro has opened the gap to 1 second to German, but it's pretty close, and Yasamidze is also very close behind. So it's now 1.5 seconds as German had a little bit of a wiggle coming out of the last corner. So he's now in the ultimate corner of the track before they go to another lap, and Sandro has beaten his fastest lap. He did 1 minute 9 seconds and 5:60, but the gap is still 1.4, and you see Bobokhidze made a small mistake and Datuashvili took advantage of it. So as I was mentioning, mistakes are key here, actually avoiding mistakes, so Datuashvili took advantage of Bobokhidze's mistake, pressured him into a mistake, and he took that 4th place. And now he has Yasamidze 3 seconds down the road. Not sure if he's going to be able to do that. Let's see how the race unfolds. The gaps are now opening up a little bit. It's the 4th lap of the race. The leader is in the 4th lap. Gaps have opened up. There is less than a second gap between Turiashvili and Pantaliani. It's over a second now. And increasing. Oh, there is a swap of positions again. Again, looks like Datuashvili had a slide or went off, and now his teammate Babalashvili is all over him. He's gonna try to overtake him, but teammates have to be careful with each other, and he goes a little bit wide, and that chance is lost. So not on this lap. So Bobokhidze is back up to 5th, and Turiashvili. Oh, and Bobokhidze had a big shunt. Bobokhidze had a big shunt, unfortunately for him, and he came out on the track in a dangerous manner, I believe, and crashed into his own teammate. And that helped Datuashvili, who got up to 4th position again, but he's now 7 seconds down on the Yasamidze. He was just 3 seconds down, but here the gap between the leader and the second placed Bugaltsev is closing down. Bugaltsev made a small mistake, and now it's back up to 1.6 seconds again as they negotiate the Stirling band here. But still, it's just quarter of the race behind us, so we still have 15 laps ahead, and a lot of things can happen. As leader is now crossed the finish line, 3 of them, they are all in 1 minute 10 second range. Datuashvili then is 1 minute 11 seconds, and so is Babalashvili 1 minute 11 seconds, and then Turiashvili 1:12, 1:13. Babalashvili now is actually closing down on his teammate. I don't know whether it's down to the fact that Datuashvili has lost some rhythm, or whether he had to use high boost in fights with Bobokhidze and now has to manage his boost. It's difficult to say right now, but we have an onboard here now, and we can see how they are doing on the straights as they go into Dingle. Now there's a very interesting story actually behind this corner. A famous Grand Prix driver in 70s and 80s, John Watson, met Ayrton Senna for the first time in this corner on the track when Watson was returning from his qualifying lap, and Senna did his qualifying lap. He was on his qualifying lap, and he let Ayrton Senna through to go into Dingle on a fast lap. And John Watson said during the interview that when he saw Senna going into that corner, the way he did it, that was the time he realized that his career as a Grand Prix driver was effectively over. So that was a really fun thing from the Formula 1 driver to say, but there is this interesting story from about this particular corner. Gaps continue opening up. Buchaltsev is kind of hanging on behind Tavartkiladze. He's 1.8 seconds behind now. And we are now following them at the moment. He can see Sandro. Now he can see him in front of him, so he has a visual on him. But it's very, very difficult for him to close. He closed 1/10. Now Sandro did 1:0.97. German did 1:0.95. So 2/10 gain here on this lap. And there is a good battle also from 5th to 7th between Kovalishvili, Turiashvili and Pontaliani. 8 laps behind us. You see now German taking this difficult surface corner. So as I can see from his speeds, he's at low boost at the moment, 60 or 70%, not more than 70%. So he's pretty steady. He has been pretty steady, it looks like. Let's see. Leaders have had the luxury of racing in a clean air all this race. They haven't been bothered by any competitors, so they probably didn't have to use a lot of boost to defend themselves or to attack. So being ahead is also beneficial in this situation. Sandro does 1:10.0 and German answers with 1:99. So another 1/10 of a second up on Sandro. Sandro is probably feeling the heat right now. It's down to 1.6 at the moment as they go through the Druids and Graham Hill corner. This is looking rather interesting. We are on the 9th lap now and the leaders have been running together all race long. The last laps of this race are gonna be crucial and their hands will be pretty sweaty for both of them, I believe, by the end of the race. Tatvashvili is falling behind now as the Assamidze increases his gap on him. It's now 11 seconds, so Tatvashvili's hopes on podium position now are in the hands of the Assamidze, who doesn't have to basically make a mistake considering his rhythm, but he's also kind of lurking around the leaders. He's not far behind, so if the leaders make contact or one of them has a little slide or a significant slide, then he'll be right up there to take advantage of it. Sandro does the fastest lap of the race. German answers with a very fast lap as well, just 1/10 of a second down. So the gap is pretty steady between them at this stage. It has gone up to 1.9 seconds, but once again, due to the nature of these cars, it's a very, very little, very, very small gap. Maharashvili, who had a collision with his teammate, you can see his front wing is damaged. He's driving with a damaged car, but that he's doing right because he has to make it to the finish to score points and then score points also for finishing the race, making it all the way to the finish. And his teammate Bobokhidze is further down. His car doesn't look visually as damaged, although it's difficult to estimate from here how it feels to drive that car at the moment. So Kovalishvili and Tatvashvili, two teammates, are separated by 4 seconds. They will be accumulating some good points here for their team, but Turiashvili is just 3.9 seconds behind Kovalishvili, so he's probably going to try to put pressure on Kovalishvili and maybe even catch him, because there are still 9 laps to go and he still has a chance, or if not, just to pressure him into a mistake. But Kovalishvili managed to increase the gap to over 4 seconds right now. And as we see now, Sandro Tavartkiladze is increasing his gap over Buchaltsev. It's 2.5 seconds right now. He's still under pressure, Sandro, but he's looking more comfortable now. He has some breathing space. And the Assamidze has fallen 6 seconds behind Sandro as well. Quantaliani is having a lonely race. He's 5-6 seconds behind Turiashvili and very significant 14 seconds ahead of Makharashvili. So he feels comfortable that he's not going to be attacked, and he has his focus is basically on the driver ahead of him. So his goal now is to put pressure on Turiashvili and see if he can force him into a mistake. If the gaps start going down, drivers have the data on their screens. They see if the driver behind them is catching up to them, so they feel pressure like real drivers do. Gatwashvili and Kovalishvili, they swap good lap times now, but Kovalishvili is closer, it looks to me. That's a big wiggle. Yeah, the curbs here on this Druid's corner are very dangerous. You just don't have to touch a curb, because immediately the car oversteers and you lose a lot of time. And you can see here on the screen that from 3.5 seconds it went all the way up to over 4 seconds. And also looks like he made a mistake trying to pressure Sandro into a mistake. He made a mistake himself, and there's another slide here into Sterling's band, and that allowed Diasamidze to overtake him. And Diasamidze himself now is 10 seconds down on Talat Tbilisi. Now also the only thing he can do is he has to attack Diasamidze now, because there are 7 laps left. He has a higher rhythm, faster lap time, so he should be able to attack him. He's some 0.6 seconds down, but we're gonna see an interesting fight here between these two drivers and two friends outside of the car, but obviously no friendship works here, as we see that Duvaltsev is very, very close. Let's see, he's not using high boost, he's probably saving it for the race. He's just making 270 over 270 kilometers an hour into Hawthorns, then into Westfields and into Dingledale section. This tough blind right-hander here, and then the Sterling band here. Yes, he uses the curb really well, but again does not expand all the way on the outside part of the corner to use all the width of the track. Diasamidze is doing some pretty good lap times himself, but probably now Duvaltsev used a little bit of boost to get close to Diasamidze for a few seconds. Diasamidze already defends, he takes very tight line into the corner. As we see these two drivers battle it out. They go into Surtees corner now, and this is going to be a chance for German to overtake him if he uses high boost, if he has enough life, enough fuel actually, and life in his turbos to attack Diasamidze. Not here, he's probably waiting, he still has 6 laps to go. But meanwhile, Diasamidze is doing pretty well, hanging on within 10-second range from Talat Tbilisi. Sandro has probably slowed down a little bit, he's not pushing very hard. He's now into 1 minute 9s, which are pretty good, but definitely not his limit. He feels comfortable now that the pressure of Duvaltsev disappeared behind him. There is a spin there, somebody spun. That was from a Kraft team, somebody from Kraft team has spun. Lost value over time. And there is an interesting battle here between Datvashvili and Kovalishvili, as Kovalishvili can see Georgi ahead of him, late turning into this corner. Drivers use different tactics, some brake while turning and take the corner very tightly, have a tight entry, others have late entry and good exit. Not really sure which one works best. So Kovalishvili here has 5 more laps to go to catch Datvashvili. Datvashvili is now significantly behind Duvaltsev, who is on 3rd, and still pressuring Diasamidze, but looks like it looked to me that Tvartkiladze made a mistake. Yes, he indeed made a mistake. Sandro made a mistake. We couldn't see where it was, but he definitely made a mistake, and the gap went down from 10 seconds to 2 seconds to second place Diasamidze. So Diasamidze feels pretty exciting at the moment, I'm sure. Maybe he can pressure now Sandro into more mistakes. As we see, one of the craft cars who have spun probably is going to be lapped sometime in coming laps, maybe before the end of the race. There is an interesting battle for the lead, 4 seconds between top 3, which is very nice and exciting considering how fast these cars are and how big the gaps usually are in fast cars between the drivers. And there is also an interesting fight here between two teammates, Kopalishvili and Gatvoshvili. So the gap has gone down all the way to 1.2 seconds right now, and last laps of this race for these two drivers is going to be very very difficult, especially for Georgi, who's ahead and is under pressure. He does 1 minute 10 and Kopalishvili responds with 1 minute 10 of his own. But he did a better lap. Gatvoshvili did 1 minute 10 seconds and 7/10, and Kopalishvili did 1 minute 10 seconds and 3/10. Surprisingly, gaps are not changed. Gaps have not changed between the top 3, and there is a drama here. Tvartkiladze is trying to lap one of the craft team cars, but the driver is not letting him through. So he's losing valuable time here. That is Luka Makharashvili, who is not letting Sandro through. He has to move over and let the race leader go through. Now, I think he does so. He finally. But Sandro has to actually do an overtake on the track to do that. I think the stewards are gonna have a look at that. I think Makharashvili should have seen blue flags ahead of him when the race leader was approaching, so this was not a fight for the position. Now Sandro has clear area ahead of him, and there is a headache now for others to overtake Makharashvili. We just have 2 laps left. Actually, we're on a penultimate lap by the race leader. Race leader is on the penultimate lap, and now Diasamidze is trying to do the same. And now Makharashvili realizes that he's being lapped and lets Diasamidze through. And there was a mistake by Buvaltsev. He fell further behind now, 15 seconds behind Diasamidze. Looks like he spun or had some. I don't think he had an encounter with a back marker, but probably was his own mistake. And there is also a race going on here still between Gatvoshvili and Kopalishvili. They have been battling it out for most of the race. Gatvoshvili is ahead, you see number 11, and Kopalishvili was lucky enough to get the number 12 car. It was driven by Ayrton Senna in 1986. And we see a notification here that the leaders are on the final lap. So both leaders, 2 leaders, are doing 1 minute 9 seconds, and it will be very difficult for Diasamidze now to overtake Sandro. Kopalishvili now fell behind 2.4 seconds, and I think Datuashvili should be able to make it to the finish on third position, as he does his personal best, 1 minute 10.3. Tires are worn out at this stage on the cars, and it's difficult for drivers to replicate their earlier lap times. Also, they are using lower boost. Sandro Tavartkiladze and Zura Diasamidze are now very close to each other, 1.4 seconds, and it's the last lap. Sandro is probably taking it a little bit easy right now. He knows that if he doesn't make a serious mistake in 2 corners, one of them is here, and the last corner remaining for him, and he's gonna win it. Diasamidze is now 1 second behind, so Sandro is really very easy now, and he comes through and takes the checkered flag to win the race, to win the event. He's most likely going to win it because he won both time attack and the race. Diasamidze finished second, very good race for him, battled it out with Buhaltsev, battled it out with the leader, didn't quite manage to put real pressure on him. Disappointing probably for Buhaltsev. He was running very close to the leader all race long, but then had to yield, and Kopalishvili looks like he overtook Datuashvili. He finished fourth. He finished fourth ahead of Datuashvili. Looks like something happened. Georgi made a mistake on the last lap, which allowed Kopalishvili to overtake him. Then we have Turiashvili 6th, Kvantaliani 7th, Maharashvili 8th, Bobokhidze 9th, and Zazalashvili 10th. He retired from the race midway through. I think it's safe to say that Sandro Tavartkiladze won the race, won the event, because he won both the time attack and race. He wasn't involved in any incidents either, so I think at this stage we can safely declare his victory. And with this, I would like to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for watching. We will provide some organize some other events together with you, together with our racers in the future as well, and really hoping to see you back. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video if you enjoyed watching. Thank you very much, and goodbye.